Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. Today we have a special episode. We're taking a moment to talk about kingmaking and spite plays. It's the issues that have plagued multiplayer games forever. All kinds of games, not just Commander. This is board games and any kind of multiplayer tabletop game forever. In CEDH, kingmaking and spite plays are against the social contract.
Oh.
They're
Is it official in CEDH?
It's against the social contract. It's very difficult to legislate. Because how do you define it specifically in a judge mentality?
Yeah.
But it's a game action that doesn't necessarily further your chance of winning the game, which is against the overall mentality of CEDH. But in Casual Commander, it's a lot more contentious. It's so for some people, it's a part of their playgroup. For some people, it's like a big no-no. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about kingmaking and sportsmanship. But first, quick, let's talk about our affiliates.
Yes, of course. CardKingdom.com/command. If you want to get any cool Magic cards that you've been thinking of getting from Phyrexia, All Will Be One, or any other of the million sets that come out recently, March of the Machine is right on the horizon.
It's coming.
Yep, CardKingdom.com/command has a huge inventory. So if there is a specific card or cards that you're looking for, specific versions that you're looking for, they are going to have it. I like to use them for just entire decks. Brew a deck. Go on Moxfield or something, test it out a bunch, get that list narrowed down, and then just add all of it to cart on Card Kingdom. Order whole thing, comes in one package, and now I have my deck all at once, and I'm not waiting for disparate packages to arrive with the last few pieces of my deck, which can happen if you order at other sites. So CardKingdom.com/command, that's the place I go because they've just got a really high quality standards, and just the one package is just tough to beat.
Yeah, convenience is king, and that leads us to our next sponsor. That's ULTRAPRO. You can go to ultrapro.com/command to check out their huge store, and they have a lot of stuff as well that will accommodate your Magic the Gathering products, your deck, your CEDH deck, your EDH deck, your regular, any kind of cards actually, because ULTRAPRO has sleeves, they've got deck box, dice, play mats, anything that you would want to make your battlefield look more cool or more protected because you're trying to make your nice cards, make sure they don't get dinged up. ULTRAPRO.com/command is an amazing online retailer. They have a lot of deals constantly going on. You can find some great deals there. You can also just buy ULTRAPRO products from your local game store, and you'll still be supporting our show. But if you want to do so online, digitally, and again, get everything in one single package, ULTRAPRO.com/command on top of your Card Kingdom order. It's a 1-2 punch. I guess there's a third part of this punch,
too. Yeah, this is the third punch.
Now
pick,
it's a
if you will.
combo.
Yeah, combo. The final way you can support our show is directly. You can go to patreon.com/commandzone and offer your bucks to make this show better and get access to behind-the-scenes content. Extra Turns has TurnTalks, which is really... It's my favorite thing to record, honestly. The gameplay is so much fun, but I love TurnTalks because we get to talk about what happened in the game, what we would have done if we had one more turn, what we could have done if we hadn't been foiled.
What we wish we'd done instead of what we actually did.
Yeah.
We did. If we drew that land. But become a patron so you can get access to that content and you can see our other stuff early and just support the show. The other thing that we do for our patrons is we announce one lucky patron every episode, and this episode is dedicated to Bryce Morello.
Bryce,
Bryce,
you rock.
Cool name. Very cool name.
You rock.
All right, let's get into our main topic here, kingmaking and spite plays. I like these. We've sort of adapted our round table and
still round, but
started doing these discussion type episodes. And I think this is the type of episode that is tough to do in our traditional format, which is more of a presentation thing.
Yeah.
But there's no firm answers in how do you kingmake or what's the best way to kingmake or it's all about perspective and opinion. So I like that we're going to have a discussion here about sort of kingmaking because it's something we've touched on the show often over the years, but I don't think we've ever really just parked on it and really gone deep on discussing it. So I'm excited.
We should probably start off by just defining it. So kingmaking, and presumably most people listening to this podcast will have encountered a situation like this,
even if they don't know of the name.
Right? Yeah. And it's it happens across all games that are multiplayer, of course. So it's where the actions of one player, who for all intents and purposes cannot win the game themselves, they knowingly perform a new action that then dictates who's going to win the game. So usually 3-player scenarios, one player, I'm totally out, I'm going to die next turn no matter what, but I can do something that will guarantee that player A wins or player B wins. That is kingmaking?
Yeah, so a simplified king-making scenario that comes up a lot in multiplayer, whether it's 3 or 4 players in the game, is let's say for reveal information or one of the players is going off, that your next player and the player after that can both win on their turn. You have one counterspell in your hand, and you can stop one of them from going off. If you stop the first one, you will die to the second. If you don't stop the first one, you die to the first. But you don't have any way to win on the stack, so you're like, the action that you're taking is not going to improve your chances of winning the game, hypothetically.
Yeah, so what do you do? Kingmake.
What do you do? So that's the thing. You have these two sort of black and white options. Mm-hmm. And then there's this third option, which is you turn to the second player and you say, all right, I have one counterspell. I can stop this to keep us both from dying, but you have to
not kill me
on your turn, and you can try and politic your way out of it,
right?
Which is sort of the gray answer to kingmaking. But that's a very common king-making scenario. It can happen with damage. It could happen with, all right, if this person's comboing off, but the next player has a full board of lethal attacks.
Yep. I can remove one blocker that can let you get in. As a result, I'm still going to lose, but... So a lot of different things can arise to basically get in the situation. Also, you don't necessarily always get to have that option of being like, I'm going to negotiate with the last player so that I survive one more turn. Because in a lot of cases, it's like, if I'm going to win, I'm going to win. A deal makes no difference here.
Yeah, and I think kingmaking gets to be used a little bit loosey-goosey because it doesn't always have to be like, for sure you're making a king. It's just like you've vastly changed the scales. It can be like
90% to win now as opposed to 30%.
Yeah, just a large percentage chance gained for one of the players that isn't you by an action that you take. That could still be construed as kingmaking. It doesn't have to be literal. Yeah. They win. Yeah. It's just like I increased their chance to win by a lot based on an action I took that didn't matter for my chances to win.
Right.
I think that's kind of the spirit of what kingmaking really means. So it's not did you actually make the king? It's just that did you affected in who was going to be elected king? You don't elect kings, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did you murder the other king?
Yeah.
Did you
hurt them so bad?
King?
Yeah, they could never ascend to the throne.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I had a game just the other day where somebody Teferi's protected, and it was pretty obvious that they were going to be able to, win on their turn.
I see.
And, there were 2 other players left, and I was like, well, or they were going to be able to kill me on their next turn. I think they had a bunch of flyers, and I didn't have any flying blockers or any ways to do it. So I was dead. But it was unclear whether they could kill everyone, but I could kill other people. And that is a sort of kingmaker-esque situation where that's, in the moment up to you to kind of decide, do I kill the other players and just die, making the Teferi's protected player the king, or do I not, and then I'll die, but maybe the other 2 players still have a chance.
We'll still get to...
Yeah, but I have no path to victory in that moment. Right. I have paths to other people's possible victory, though.
I was thinking about this. I was working on this episode, and I was like, this doesn't happen that often. And then we played yesterday. No, we played on Sunday, and I was in a king-making situation where I was being attacked lethally. I could not I could not stop from dying. But another player had a deflecting palm that put the attacking player's life total low enough after damage, so deflecting palm happens on damage, that I could Boros Charm and kill the player who attacked me.
Oh.
It wouldn't have saved me because the damage is already done, but I could kill the player who killed me and effectively leave the deflecting palm player as the winner.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right? I could actually determine the winner of that game.
And we'll get into that much deeper in the episode, which is like spite plays or plays out of like, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna do that. But I think like we can already see from just these couple scenarios alone that kingmaking is very complex. It's much more than just the definition that we put up. So we have a couple more examples to go through.
Yeah.
This one I think is actually really interesting because I've seen this happen, and I personally, this one irks me a bit, which is conceding as a way of kingmaking.
Yeah.
So it's a very easy situation. I'm being attacked for lethal, and you have a bunch of life linkers. What happens if I concede before damage is done, and you're not going to gain the life you would have from killing me? As a result, maybe another player can then now knock them out, or they were depending on that life gain in order to survive and try and win the game. So is this sort of situation against the social contract when you concede in a way like that?
Yes.
I
agree, by the way.
I think so. I mean, this is a standard that's set in a lot of playgroups that you can concede. You should, in fact, in many cases, you should concede. If you're not having a good time, please concede. But do so in a moment that is at sorcery speed on your turn. There's no surprises. And you're not conceding as a weapon. You're conceding as like, you've done it. Congratulations, you've beaten
Graceful
me.
concession.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tend to have like a loose concede at sorcery speed rule in our play group. It's seen as kind of scummy if you don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's using something that is outside of any player's control to...
Yeah, there's not like a card that says conceded instant speed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I say loose because obviously, like, you got a phone call on your relatives in the emergency room. Yes, concede now.
Get out of here, go.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Jimmy's taking his third extra turn in a row. I think
this
we
game
can
is
all
over.
look at each other and be like, I'm willing to concede if you all are.
Yeah.
But that's not concession as a weapon, like you said. I think when, using concession to deny advantage to a player that they have gained through game actions that they deserve, that is the part that, you know, I think... If you do that, you should be prepared, and rightfully so, for people to be upset about it. Like, I think personally, like, if somebody did that, they're probably just not getting invited back to our next Commander night.
Yeah.
Like, that is just not the kind of player that we want. To, you know, there's lots of players out there. Hopefully they can find their group. They're just, you know, not going to be part of ours. I think it's that kind of thing. But again, we're all friends. Somebody might just have a bad day, you know, be a little frustrated in that moment. I think they can be forgiven that stuff too. But it's just, if that kind of behavior happened a lot, I think it would be a toxic player more than somebody who's kingmaking. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
What if that player, let's say I'm being attacked, I'm at 3 life, I have a lightning bolt in hand, and I go, you know what? I'm going to kill myself before your creatures can kill me. So then you don't get the life.
It is an
Then
instant speed concession.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an instant speed concession, but you are in control in a way that's not abusing game mechanics.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with that.
Yeah. I think that's different. If you have a way to like draw yourself out or be like, I lose, now I guess you don't get your lifelink. That's a game action that you can take strategically.
Because they could counterspell your lightning bolt.
Yeah.
They could find some way to give you life. They could put cards back in your deck.
Right.
They have the ability to respond with other game actions to keep their advantage. Whereas if you just
can't counterspell a concession.
What do I got? Yeah, the game doesn't give me any tools. Yeah.
Right.
Put your cards back on the table. I don't care if your phone's being used for the life counter. Put it back.
I'm taking my life counter. I'm going, that's even worse.
Wait, no.
Yes, you gain 200 life, but how will you track it?
A loophole.
Okay, so
I'm not conceding. I'm just taking my phone back.
that person's definitely not getting invited back. Okay, so the next theoretical...
Can we at least see it?
Yeah.
Can
I
we
take a
write it
screenshot
down?
before
Like-
we take it away? Okay, so conceding as kingmaking, I think we've just figured out the line there. There's a very clear no line to everyone here, and I think it's pretty agreeable. So let's talk about sort of what we were mentioning with the lightning bolt, which is now game actions as a form of kingmaking. So you're not killing yourself now, but let's say you have a removal spell, and you're being attacked for lethal, but a big threat is maybe on the other side of the table. It's a combo piece that's on player C, and you're like, you know what, before I go, this person's been bullying me all game, or whatever it is, I'm going to kill that. Still going to die, but as a result of that action, you actually swing the game completely in someone else's favor.
Yeah.
Is that against the social contract?
This is a really interesting situation because I think I had a similar situation where it was like I could block to soak up the most damage and I would still die, or I could block to kill the most creatures and I would still die. And obviously blocking to kill the most creatures doesn't save me, but it helps the players who aren't player B who killed me.
Right.
And you get in this situation where you're like none of these are correct. But like if I don't block and just leave them with their whole board, then that's an action as well. And I'm in the camp of like, if you attack me and you're taking me out, that's fine and that's part of the game. But I get to do with that what I want. There are consequences for attacking.
Yeah, you're still going to play your cards and do
I'm still going to I'm going to remove your scariest thing, or I'm going to block in a way that punishes you the most for taking me out.
Yeah, I would call this the law of nature, which is that if a bear attacks a tiger, you know, bear's a lot bigger. I don't actually know who would win in a fight, but let's just say it seems to me that the bear's pretty advantaged in that situation, but you would not expect the tiger to just take it, right? He's going to do as much damage to the bear as possible because that's the law of nature. You try to survive.
Right.
Even if you know you're dead with your last dying breath, you're going to scratch that bear in the eye or do what you can, right? Any little bit of hope you've got. And I think that is a fair response to expect when you are trying to knock somebody out of the game. The law of nature applies. I'm allowed to defend myself to the best of my abilities, even if I know that that will not be enough to save me. The cost of what it takes to take me out has to be factored into your calculation to attack me.
Right.
Yeah. And also that moves forward into future games. If you know that I'm not going to, if I'm just going to if I'm going to roll over and let you take me out, then you get to take me out in situations where you wouldn't be able to, because the disadvantage would cause you to not be able to then win the game from that point.
And that has happened in a lot of games where someone's like, I can kill you, but you have a full board and you're untapped. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, because I'll end up with 3 creatures, then just auto lose to the other player.
Right.
Yeah. So that means I cannot attack you.
Yeah.
But if I know you're a player that in the past has always just rolled over, then I could. So I need to set the precedent, that is a thing. So I think the law of nature is just like totally fine and should be expected. And anybody who complains about people doing, defending themselves in a situation, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It's also as like, if you're the 4th player in this scenario and you're not being attacked, but like you're watching one player go attack all out at the other player, and the player who's dying says no blocks, you're like, crap, like there's a whole board. Now I expected some of this board to be gone.
Yeah.
It should cost them something
in
to
this
take
attack.
you out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, well, now there's then
you sort of work kingmaking in a different direction, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So now you've given the person who killed you no consequences for this attack, and leaving the other 2 players presumably in a situation where they may not have expected.
Now, I would say that all reasons for all actions are kind of valid as long as we take out the concession, not at sorcery speed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think we've probably all been in situations, I can remember one just the other day, where this exact scenario was happening, getting attacked for lethal, had a removal spell or 2 in hand, had some blockers, blocked as best I could, used my removal spell on something else on the board to help the
rest
game
of the table.
stay in a state that I, for whatever reason in that moment, based on what side I woke up on the bed or who the players were or what people have been doing to me or what happened last game or 2 months ago, whatever the calculation is, I decided to remove something that wasn't attacking me to, get the game state to a place where it felt good to me for whatever the calculation was. And, I sort of see this like, let's imagine that it's the middle of the game, you're at 37 life, somebody attacks you with a 9 power creature, you have a blocker, but it's a good creature. You don't want to block with it. Do you block or do you not?
With a 9 power creature?
Yeah.
Like playing around a Tainted Strike?
Do you block or do you not?
Probably not, no.
If it's Craig attacking you, do you block or do you not?
Probably, yeah.
Well, if you don't believe in kingmaking and spite plays and things like that, you shouldn't be using that information, right?
Right.
But I don't see these as different.
Yeah.
Game memory, I use to my advantage, I use it to my opponent's disadvantage, but it's the same calculus of like, if I know the player, then all of a sudden I will make decisions based on what they've done in the past. And that's just as valid to make any decision in the game, not just in the attack I just described, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, or if you're removing something, it's, that's their combo piece. If you guys don't do anything about it, it's game over. But I want to see the rest of you battle it out in some fair, equitable way, so I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, or a lot of times, you've missed a ton of land drops. I'm going to try and even it out so you have a chance in this game. So I'm going to remove their biggest
use
thing.
my Field of Ruin on someone else.
I've even done that to the person attacking me, just like, okay, I get it. Like, the game's got to end. I'll try and even it out for you and see if you can win this game.
Sure,
Yeah.
Depending, I think that's usually what it is. If I'm going out, I'm going to try and leave the table in as good of a game state as possible. Like, if I can like balance it a little bit and they'll still have a good game, because you want to make a dent. You want to like impact the game. That's Commander.
To me, it depends. Like, if that person, it feels like, was like just had it out for me or whatever, then I'm going to take out their thing. And if it's a player that like just kind of wins a lot, or I feel like their deck is more powerful than the other decks. Like,
for sure.
I will calculate a million different things. It's not always just to put the game into the best state. Sometimes it is a response to like, you counterspelled my thing earlier, and that really, that cost me the game basically. So now I'm going to get back at you however I can. But I think all of them are valid. They're all valid reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, there's a lot of contention around kingmaking, but this is a social format.
Yeah.
This is like, there are social consequences to social actions. Like if you get attacked, like there's feelings are involved, and for better or for worse, that's part of Commander, and being like, how is this player going to react to that? How is like, if I know this deck, or if I know this person's a wild card, like all of those things impact your play, because that's the game that we play. It's not as linear as 1v1, make the best moves as possible. When you're dead, you're dead. you get to be a person.
And this is not, and we've talked about this for years, but this is not unique to this game and shouldn't be treated as if it's different than how other games operate. If you play Werewolf with people all of the time, then you're definitely going to know certain players' tendencies and you're going to use that to your advantage. And it works even when in like sports. If I'm playing basketball at the gym and I play all the time, I know which players, when it's 10-10 and it's 11 to win, I'm giving the ball to on that last possession. We're all having fun and nobody's a ball hog. And then, we need to win this game. Yeah. Tyler's getting the ball because he is the most likely to score. But that's game memory. That is That is using past experiences to make, quote unquote better decisions, make whatever decision you're going to make right now. Yeah. And that's why I say it's all valid, because you can't take the good and leave out the bad.
Right. It's the poker side of Magic, right? Where it's like I know this player, I know how they bluff, I know like what they would do in this situation, and that's all relevant gameplay skill. It's not using outside advantage or something to know your opponents and know how your opponents are going to react yourself, because it's all part of a social format.
Yeah, I feel like people sometimes can just be afraid too. Just like, I don't want to do something that's going to, because what if it is my first time playing with this group? I'm going to go out and do X, Y, and Z because this is how I feel. And everyone goes, that wasn't that cool. Why did that happen? So I think people get in situations where like you are in unavoidable situations where you're dying, you're going to have to do something or not do something. So how do you play? And we sort of talked about this. You're adding game memory, social memory, and all this stuff into it. But for someone that's just brand new to a situation, hasn't been in main kingmaking situations before, what do you actually do in those moments when you have nothing else? You know you're going to die, but you have some actions you can take.
It's a really tough thing. I mean, part of it is going to be reading the room. You've played a whole game. You know what's happened in this game, even if it's not game memory. It's this game memory. And I think you take actions that will make you feel good, because that's part of this game, is be like, I think I could do this cool thing and it's not going to change anything, but I'm going to do the cool thing anyway.
Right.
Like, or you could be like, you know what, I take my lumps and play it safe and just be like, I'm out.
I'm going to sit with this one removal spell in hand, but I'll do the blocks right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in that moment, you just have to think about what you want the perception of you to be, because you're not going to change your perception of yourself in that moment, right? You're making a choice. You know what you want to do. You know what you're choosing to do. What you're changing or altering or at least affecting is the other player's perception of you. And then you just think of cause and effect of what you're going to do. So if I just make the blocks and hold my removal spell, does that create a perception of me that I want, versus using the removal spell, versus using it on an attacking thing on me or something else on the board? Do I want to be seen as the player that, like, from hell's heart I stab at thee as much as possible? Or do I want to be seen? It might be like, if I remove that combo piece over there on their board, maybe they go, oh, that's the kind of player they are. They're a reasonable player that maybe I can trust later.
Or I have to be aware of them in the future because they're always holding that one thing.
They've always got something.
Or maybe you just go, I didn't have anything, and you pretend like you were bluffing, and now they have a player that might bluff across them from the table.
I do that more often than not, I feel like.
Yeah, but whatever the decision you're making, you should be eyes wide open about the perception coming at you, not your perception. Your perception is yours. You know it. You're just trying to affect the other people and how they see you in future games, because you're aware they're going to have game memory.
Yeah.
And it's bricks, right? It's not... You don't make one play at the end of one game and the whole castle's built.
Right.
You laid one brick, and then the next time you play, you lay another brick, and the next time, and before you know it, you've built, a
card kingdom.
Yeah. You've built something that they can see and that has a value. It's, you're this kind of player or that kind of player, or you're likely to do X, Y, or Z that they're calculating into. They're either blocking your 9-power creature or not, and it's based on the bricks that you've laid previously. One game won't do anything.
Yeah, if you can't win the short game, play the long game.
Yeah. At least get an advantage for later.
Sure, yeah.
I can't win this game, but what I can do is give myself the smallest of advantage later. And it's just like cracking your fetch land on the end step before your turn. Very minimal advantage, but a lot of players do it, right? Like, we'll take our 0.01% advantages and add them up over time.
And also, people in other play groups, it's totally fine if you're just like, I die.
Yeah.
Like, no
all
one's going to be...
calculations are valid, but I think in that case, you should be making the calculation that that's the player persona that I want to project.
Yeah.
Is the player that's, fine, I'm not going to even block. I will, maybe you figure with your play style or whatever, that is an advantage. Or I want to be invited back, or all calculations are valid.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a through line for this episode is the thing that Sheldon and the rules committee always says is play like you want to be invited back, and reading the room and making sure that like everyone's having fun is still part of any game night.
Part of any social interaction of any kind.
Are you fun to be around?
Right. I mean, that makes people really nervous, though, because, Magic and Magic players tend to be sort of on the nerdier and less, it's socially... Social anxiety is like a real thing, and I think people that play Magic are sort of maybe more tendency towards that. It's that type of
Magic
game.
To not have social anxiety.
Yeah,
it can lead to social anxiety as a result.
So I don't want people to get like scared when we talk about like reading the room and things like that, because that can be really hard for people to do. But I think if you just break it down strategically as a perspective of like, okay, based on what my options are available here, what are the likely, how they're going to look at those things, and then just choose one that seems the most palatable to you. And you should know any game action you take in the moment should mostly be seen as fine. Reasonable people are going to be like, whether you blocked, you didn't block, you removed something, you didn't remove something, as long as you're not doing something, like conceding or something that feels like cheating.
Flipping the table.
Because I think it's a them problem if you block, make your good blocks, kill half their creatures, and they're like, why would you block? You couldn't have lived anyway. I deserve to just take you out for nothing. That's a them problem. That's not a you problem.
No. That's a legal game action that was on board. They knew the consequences of attacking you. Well, we've got lots more to talk about with Kingmaking, and we're going to get into spite plays in just a few minutes. But first, we got a brief word from our sponsors.
Deep within the jungles of Ixalan, a primal hunger awakens.
Oh, hi everyone! I'm Galta, and let me tell you, I am one hungry dino. Now that it's warm out, I'm always on the go, which means I'm working up a bigger appetite than ever. Thankfully, I have Factor to help me power up for springtime. Factor delivers chef-crafted meals that are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Perfect for those ancient cravings that just can't wait. That means no more trips to the grocery store and no more picking up expensive takeout. Plus, with over 30 nutritious meals each week, including options from keto to protein plus, they always have tons of delicious choices to devour, like their scrumptious herb-crusted chicken. And since each meal is dietitian approved, they're sure to keep you energized from immortal sunrise to immortal sunset. Factor really is the dynamite way to fuel your dino might.
Head to factormeals.com/command50 and use code command50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code command50 at factormeals.com/command50 to get 50% off your first box.
So many sites, so many resumes. Hiring is a nightmare. How does Elishnorn find such loyal workers?
I mechanize their flesh and bind them to my will.
Oh. No, I don't think I could do that.
Then use Indeed, you sniveling fool. With Indeed, all will be in one place. It's the perfect platform to attract, interview, and hire new employees in a flash, thanks to powerful tools like Instant Match, which gives you a short list of qualified candidates the moment you sponsor a post. Or my favorite, screenings and assessments.
Oh yeah, with assessments I can add over 100 different skill tests to my job post. Then I'll know everyone I'm looking at is actually qualified. Now I can skip the boring stuff in the interview and focus on what matters.
Like achieving perfection?
Oh, Elishnorn, you complete me.
That is the plan.
Wait, what?
Indeed knows that when you're doing everything for your company, you can't afford to overspend on hiring. Visit Indeed.com/CommandZone to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/CommandZone. Again, Indeed.com/CommandZone. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hi-ho, human friends! We're the Seven Dwarfs. I'm Talkie. This is Worky, Jumpy, Greedy, Shouty, Smiley, and Ted.
What up?
Hi-ho! We're here to talk to you about RAYCONs. It's the time of year to make big changes, which can be just as hard as mining through rock and stone. But take it from us, even small things can add up to a big impact in life or on the battlefield. You can start by shaking up your routine with RAYCON wireless earbuds.
I use mine when I mine. They're water and sweat resistant, and upbeat tunes have really helped me keep my energy going.
8 hours of playtime make them perfect for getting through a long day counting my rubies.
It's premium audio and half the price of other brands, so you'll want to buy a pair.
And a spare, and one for me. I'll take a pair.
I got mine in sleek frost white, or should I say, Snow White?
Oh, dwarf humor.
Ready to buy something small with a big impact? Go to buyraycon.com/command today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/command to score 15% off. Again, buyraycon.com/command.
All right, we are back. We are having a lively discussion about kingmaking and spite plays in Commander, but also just multiplayer gaming.
This next one is interesting. When you look up the definition of kingmaking, they have this one as well, which is direct versus indirect kingmaking.
Interesting.
So direct kingmaking is I do this one thing, this person wins, or very close to that, as we've discussed. You can do one thing that heavily favors another player.
Yeah.
Indirect kingmaking is saying I can't win, but I'm going to go for second place, and I'm going to do these things to get to second place, but don't care about winning.
Right. So you're going to take down the straggler rather than go for the leader.
Yeah, or the leader attacks you in a way where you go deflecting palm, kill someone else. I'm still dead to you, but at least I got them out of the way to get me into second place. So this is interesting because surviving is a different thing. Some people are just there to hang. Some people don't care about getting first place, but they'd rather do the impactful thing that gets them to second or the memorable play or whatever it is. So indirect kingmaking happens a lot more too, I think, than people realize. Is that something that's cool to go for second place instead of first?
Rachel, you actually did like a Twitter poll about this kind of, right?
I did. I put out a question on Twitter because I was curious about it. I'd heard a lot of people talk about this mythical second place in Commander, and it doesn't mean anything to me getting second. Especially
second place is no place.
Second place
is the first loser or whatever. I've heard all sorts of about second place.
I'm not
you could win by
like
an inch or
either
a
you
mile.
win or you're a loser,
and you
get out of here. But
Jeez,
it's
harsh,
like,
Rachel.
But it's like second place to me is just like I was killed last a lot of the time.
So it's not winning.
In Commander. Like, it feels like a lot of the time second place is like, I had to take out the other two players because they were way scarier than you, and now I can take you out because you weren't a problem.
Oh.
So, like... second place isn't super meaningful to me in Commander, but I asked Twitter and I was like, is second place like a meaningful thing to you? If you get second place, do you feel more accomplished than if you were taken out first or second? And
you were surprised by the answer.
I was very surprised. It was like more people were like, no, second counts.
It's like 67%
I'll take second.
or some high amount.
It's like, close to 2/3 of people are like, second works.
I'd rather have second.
I'd rather have second,
than third or fourth.
fourth.
Yeah. Silver medals are nice.
Right. And that was very surprising to me. I don't know if that's just a me problem that I'm now discovering on Twitter, but a lot of the comments on it resonated with me a little bit more, where they were like, honestly, I don't care what position I was taken out as long as I did something meaningful, as long as my deck did the thing, as long as I impacted the game in some way, I'm perfectly happy with whatever position I like. If I didn't win, then great.
Sure. Yeah, that may be going towards the fact that Magic is a very high variance game. And sometimes towards the end of a game, there's inevitable situations. You just can't get away from, you know what? Turn 10, they finally drew their infinite combo. There's nothing I could do about it because we had a great game beforehand and we were just racing to see who could get there first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say is the second place person plays the most amount of Magic, right? Because the game stops after they die.
Right.
So they play the same amount as the first place person. So the third and fourth, that you can't necessarily say that was true. And we've all been in the games where you get knocked out kind of early and you're the person watching for the last, hopefully not more than 15 minutes or so, but it can be a long time sometimes.
Yeah.
So I can see not wanting to be third or fourth just from a raw, like I am a spectator rather than an active participant part. I'm also, I doing the thing is like a big thing. Like, remember my example of Teferi's Protection earlier?
Yeah.
And the Teferi's Protected player could definitely kill me. Yeah, I just killed the other two players and then died to them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I wanted second place exactly, but as far as outcomes, I got to take out two players. My deck felt like I built it, and you play Craterhoof Behemoth, you want to attack, right?
Yeah.
You want to have swung for 48,000 damage or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So if you play Craterhoof Behemoth and somebody plays Teferi's Protection, you're going to swing at whoever's left, regardless of whether that's going to win you the game. I mean, not all the time, but that's a valid thing to do because whatever, I made all my creatures big. What'd I do that for nothing? I didn't come here to not do things. So I can see like that side of things. Also, like in the Teferi's Protection thing, I was thinking, if I kill both of them and then they kill me, we shuffle up, we play the next game. If I don't do that, then there's a decent chance I'm sitting here watching them play 20 minutes from now, which is not a great outcome for me. So, I think there's a lot of reasons why second place can matter.
Yeah, I think back to this Boros Charm example that happened on Sunday where it was like, I was being taken out, and it would have it was down to 2 final players, and I could have cast this Boros Charm to take out one of those players and been like, "You're the winner, congratulations!" And I decided not to because Boros Charm isn't like my deck's thing. Like I had done, like,
it just happened to work in that
like
moment.
I had a cool game. My deck had done like I had done a ton of damage that game and was like, the Boros Charm isn't going to make this game feel more satisfying to me. And it's just going to be like a huge bummer for the person that I kill because they're like, oh.
I'm curious, Jimmy, do you cast the Boros Charm to kill the player attacking you?
To kill the player attack, I mean, again, there's game memory.
Yeah, it's after damage.
I'm just saying, knowing what you know right now, do you do it?
Probably.
Yeah?
Because it's funny. And I think that's gonna be a whole discussion topic too.
do it. I don't even think about it. You attack me, if I can kill you, you're dead. And I don't care about the ramifications of anything else for any other players. You're attacking me, I'll do the most to you that I can. And if it means killing you and the other player winning, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the deflecting, by the way, the deflecting palm from the other player, I would want to reward it. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. You're playing deflecting palm on, that's also, I think, worthy of reward. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, maybe there's.
But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's interesting to see how different people would handle it. How you absolutely didn't.
Yeah.
I absolutely would. And Jimmy's like, maybe.
Yeah. It's tricky. I mean, because it would have been totally valid for me to just be like, you know what? I got 4 more damage. I got 2 mana up. I might as well use it, and I'll throw my.
Serves you right. Yeah.
I'll like shoot an arrow as
magic,
I'm falling off
baby.
the cliff.
Yeah.
I'll do.
It's a Legolas thing. You're so cool when you die.
Exactly.
Maybe there's a difference then between kingmaking and game making, which is like, this was a good game for me. I don't care first, second, third, fourth.
Game making.
But kingmaking is way different. It's like, I'm going to make sure you get first or whatever. But game making seems like that completely throws the idea of first place out the window, because as long as you had a good time, that's what you were there for.
That's very interesting. An idea that you're like, all right, if I'm taking something that I used to talk about a lot was every action I take is trying to optimize the time we're having.
Right.
Where it's like you can optimize for winning the game, of course, but if you're playing in more casual pods, which is largely my home group, is extremely casual.
I'd say the majority of pods are still pretty casual.
Is like I find myself in moments where I'm very frustrated that I can't play optimally, because it's like I will win too early right now if I play optimally, and it's very frustrating me as a player because I want to play well, and that's like how I get joy out of the game.
Right.
So I had to reframe it to be like, I'm optimizing to achieve something else. I'm optimizing to make sure this is the best game it can be. And then I'm playing to achieve that goal. And then at least there's a goal and a purpose.
Right.
Like I have a really tough time playing a game where it's like, oh, I'm just sandbagging because it'll be weird right now.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't want to play this dock side.
Just like, I just want to run and I can't. So figuring out how to I'll run in a different direction or still be able to play the game without crushing the spirit of the game or whatever it's a very tricky thing to do.
Yeah, I think we've all been in this situation where you sort of realize kind of early in the game that my deck's more powerful than these. I didn't mean for that to happen, right?
Yeah.
We had our conversation, or my draw just turned it into and those are tough moments to deal with, and I think the way people deal with that tells us a lot about sort of them as a EDH player and just a person that it is going to be good in a gaming group or not, as far as reading the room and stuff like that. Yeah, I often default to just sort of playing recklessly in those situations. So it's like, all right, this hand's crazy, and I'll play a very early Elishnorn, which we saw me do, which is not the smart play. But I'm not going to do nothing because that's not fun for me, and that's not optimizing total amount of fun. But what I'll do is just play in a sort of slightly suboptimal sequencing manner or something like that. I can do something really powerful. It's likely they'll be able to overcome it. They're all going to hate me now, and I'll become the archenemy. And at least now we're all getting something out of this. Whereas if I just optimally play my dockside into this and then wait till next turn and do this,
hold up,
I 100% win and they don't do crap. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do a big thing. I'm going to tap out. I'm going to give them an opening here. Just play recklessly.
Yeah, I talked about this a lot where it was like AD was in a game with Stang where he was like, I had popped off, and it was like
Echo Twin Stang?
Yeah, it's super cool, and he'd drawn a ton of cards, and he was like, we're really far ahead, and he just tapped out. He had 2 protection spells in his hand. It was like, if they answer it, great, then the game will continue, and everyone else will get to participate in this game, and I have already done the cool sweet thing.
Right.
And he ended up losing that game, and that's fine because he'd already done this cool sweet thing.
Yeah, he got to walk away feeling like
Yeah, you're either playing for yourself more or you're playing for the table more.
Right.
And I think there's always going to be a balance. And we're not saying never play for yourself. That has to happen for you to enjoy it. But I feel like a lot of these scenarios end up being, when do you play for the table and doing so in a way that makes you feel good at the end of it too? Because I don't want to be the person that also just plays more expensive cards than everyone else and wins the game. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. Right.
Yeah. It's I think this is all a super interesting part of Rule Zero, and something that I really like about what CEDH does is their Rule Zero is so clear, where it's like, we're playing, and our entire goal with every game action we make is to win the game by whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's extremely clear. And that has like
and everybody in the pot has signed that contract, right?
Yeah. And that has an intention with how you're going to play the game that says what cards are in your deck, and it's much more complicated for casual decks. But I think casuals Rule Zero conversations are a lot more based on cards and a lot less based on intention. And we should maybe shift that conversation a little bit and be like, okay, how do you want to concede in this game? How do we handle concessions as a pod? How do we, are we playing to, do we sandbag in this group? Is that an expectation? So trying to set social expectations rather than being like, do you play Mana Crypt? Because that may get you closer in the Rule Zero conversation than
what you're trying to go for.
Yeah, than
Absolutely
just knowing what
individual cards with no context don't do a lot.
It doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, exactly. They can be little signposts. They're not zero information. They're just not as much information as people think they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it too, where one person goes, "You have an underground sea in your deck. You're the Archenemy." It's like, well, it could be the literal only card like that in my whole deck. As well. Well, it's an interesting situation because I think the next topic is one that Josh is familiar with, which is Archenemy that can become kingmaking, and it also combines the idea of sandbagging. So the scenario is one person's clearly ahead. All three players go, we have to team up. What's everyone's removal spells?
Yeah.
You, the savvy, quiet player, go, I have nothing. You have a lot. As a result, two players expend their resources. You help a little bit. Player goes down. Now, not only are you in the lead, you're in the lead with more cards. Everyone else has also depleted their resources, so you've extended that more. That, in a way, is a king-making action, which is I'm actually not going to help the agreement at the table as much as maybe I could because it doesn't help my long game.
I don't know if that's king-making action, though, because that feels like a savvy strategical play to put you in a better position to win. You're still trying to win that ultimately. That's not a situation where, I cannot win.
Sure.
What you're trying to do is ride the line as close as possible. It's I think the other two players can probably get that Archenemy under control. And, that will leave me, after the three of them all fight it out above because they've all injured each other or possibly knocked, multiple of them have knocked each other out. I mean, the best way to win in Commander, it's the easiest way to win in Commander, is do very little for a long time.
Yeah.
And then do a lot, and then win.
And then win, yeah.
That is, it's very easy to do that, right? If you want to win games of Commander, that's what I would tell everybody, is just don't do much, don't be scary, hold cards in your hand that are good, don't deploy them, and just wait until the opportune moment. You'll find it somewhere around turn 8, 9, or 10, and you will be able to win. It's not hard. It's hard to do a lot along the way and win, And I've learned this, and Jimmy, you know it, and Rachel, you know it, because when you play for camera, you play totally differently because you're trying to be exciting. So playing for camera is play recklessly more often just because splashy, big, exciting things are fun for the audience to see.
You also really don't want to run the risk of, I don't do anything and I didn't do anything and the game ended.
Yeah.
It's no, you have a chance to do something, go do it.
Yeah.
And make sure you get your plays in before someone else may actually end the game for you.
So that Archenemy holdback style, I think, is a good default style for you to win games of Commander. And if that's what you find fun, I think there's nothing wrong with it from a strategic decision. I don't know that you're king-making in that sense.
Maybe the difference is whether or not you're lying actively to the table. They're like, hey, Jimmy, can you do this? And you can, and you just constantly go, no. Or you're pointing the Archenemy towards other people in a way. I think if you're using it in a way that's a little more scummy, then you can get.
But I don't see that as scummy. It's no more than werewolf. To me, that's a werewolf lie. There's a you got to compartmentalize the game.
Maybe it's the deal also.
I don't have to give you the information that you're not supposed to have,
right?
Unless I want to, and I'm allowed to lie to you about that information. Just like poker. Poker is a really good example, right? You represent that you have something that you don't. You bluff. You're not lying in the traditional sense of we're out at dinner talking about how our days went or something. You know what I mean?
My day sucked. Actually, it was great.
Actually, it was awesome.
Actually, it was a really good
We've all
day.
done that, right? Our friends having a bad day.
Yeah.
We've all done that too. But I think categorizing as lying is a little different in that, or scummy, I think. I think within the course of the game, you're kind of allowed to say, I don't have a removal spell if you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think something that I do a lot, whether intentionally or not, is if a card is scary, I will say out loud that it's scary.
Yeah.
That scares me. And that...
We've talked about this,
Yeah,
it's brilliant. It's a good political play.
Like all the time. And it's not a deal. It's just flag...
Yep.
And it's just planting flags in your opponent's board. And it's so you can really impact what the table's threat assessment is by just saying things out loud.
Yep.
And I'd like, people have talked about like you play quiet commander and that's a great way to win. I like to play loud commander on other people's turns. And not by being like not saying my triggers out loud or not saying the cards or like trying to hide things. That's not clear game state is extremely important. But being like, I am afraid of that thing.
Uh-oh, here that comes.
Yeah, this again. Yeah. Like, that kind of stuff goes so far in games to be like, to redirect removal spells that you may not have, but your opponents do.
Or, you probably have too, but why use yours? Use your opponents. Yeah, we've talked about that a million times.
Yeah, it's it's a strategy that it's like it's not lying and it's not necessarily scummy. It's just sort of shaping the threat assessment of the table. At least that's my perspective because I do it a lot. So.
Yeah. And sometimes it really helps, especially in newer players or someone that doesn't know what a new card does, and it may literally blank out their commander's deck's whole thing.
Right.
So in that case, there's this whole world of good sportsmanship. And it's not kingmaking anymore. It's more just like directing things one way or the other. There are kingmaking scenarios like we talked about earlier, which is, hey, you're killing me. I can do something so bad to you that this person that hasn't won much is going to win as a result.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like, is that a good sportsmanship thing or is that just game memory tied into it? Because what you're doing is sure. I mean, like not only is it a good political move, but sometimes people do need to understand what the threat assessment is because not everyone is on the same level as you as well.
It's also something that I try to do for my own cards, especially if I read that there's a new player at the table. Like if I play a spell, I will be like, you should read this.
Right.
Like you should read the words on this card because it's going to impact your game or it's going to be scary long term. Usually it's like this will have major consequences for your deck. So yeah.
It's like when you have to discard and something important goes into your graveyard.
Yeah,
like,
make sure
I think it's courteous and good sportsmanship.
Michelson Flatus.
What's the other one? Darksteel Forge.
Darksteel Forge, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, just because it's very complicated and you shouldn't be hiding things in that manner. So that kind of lying is bad. The other kind is okay.
Yeah.
There's a reason why when you draw cards, the game doesn't require you to just hold your cards facing everybody, right? You're allowed to conceal them. But when the graveyard is open to everybody. So yeah, if you put a flashback card in there or something that matters, I think it's courteous and good sportsmanship to say, hey, just so everybody knows this is in here or these important cards are in there. Or you might want to look through my graveyard, just so that you don't get blindsided. I'm not going to tell you what, there's 20 cards in there, but you should probably look.
Yeah.
I think it's good sportsmanship to do stuff like that. Obviously, if you're in a tournament or something, that is their responsibility. Yeah. But yeah, I think all that's wrapped up in really complicated things about what is okay and what isn't, what's scummy and what's not. And a lot of it is just kind of when you see it stuff. But yeah, I think in general, sportsmanship has to do with that. You talked about new players. Yeah, I think you absolutely should treat new players differently than you would treat veteran players.
Yeah.
As far as like their game knowledge and not trying to be as tricky. Like a player that knows what they're doing, you can point to something on the board and sort of improperly threat assess it and try and push them in that direction because they should know enough with, you're like, listen, it's your own threat assessment. And if I can mess with it, that's your fault.
Right.
But if it's a new player, you probably don't want to be playing those types of games because they don't have the context to understand.
Yeah, and that feels misleading. Where like they're coming in with bright eyes, with everything on their sleeve.
If you don't do this, you're gonna have a bad time.
They're still worrying about what cards do.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to also have them in that same, light on top of that. Wonder who's telling me the truth in everything they're saying.
Right.
By the way,
they're having trouble with the literal magic part. You don't need to add the social trickery part to it yet.
But once you're to the point where everybody clearly knows the rules and they're not worried about what cards do, now you get to introduce sort of the werewolf aspect of it. The part where like I'm socially trying to manipulate people, and make political deals and point out threats that aren't real or say I have removal spells that I don't. And then that it's weird because it flips from like bad sportsmanship to just totally fine.
To sportsmanship.
Yeah. To gamesmanship.
To
really.
gamesmanship.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. It's it's interesting. I mean, so let's talk about spite plays. Just as a concept, because they're a little different than kingmaking. They have less actual game consequences, and
But they happen as a result of kingmaking quite often.
Right. I think of spite plays are as any play that's made emotionally rather than like strategically.
Yeah.
So it's anything that you make to be like, I'm like an eye for an eye type of deals where like you remove this, I'm going to remove that. And
I remember this from last time. How dare you? I'm going to do this instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I consider those spite plays, whether that's a great name for them or not, is, to each their own. But it's just, I'm going to do this because I want to like check you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the Oxford Languages description is a desire to hurt, annoy, or offend someone.
Ooh.
That's what spite means.
Yeah. So I think it is interesting because spite is not necessarily the most toxic thing in the world. There are levels to spite. For instance, when I play against Craig, we do weird spite things to each other that we both just look at each other and laugh about. And it may not affect anything else in the game, but we're just doing it because we carry old friends' spitefulness or whatever. And it's like more a desire to annoy the other person.
Right.
But I think when spite plays are done emotionally or done in a way that's like, it becomes more than just words, more than just game actions. It's actually like, hey, that kind of hurt my feelings, or that's really not chill what happened. That's when spite gets into the very dangerous territory that turns play groups bad or into toxic environments where people are afraid to do things or don't want to come back.
I think
Absolutely.
you can make the argument, though, that no spite plays also can let things go in a bad direction.
Right.
Because, like, it's the whole thing, like, you got to stand up to bullies sometimes. And sometimes your best way to do it is spite playing. Like,
True.
Hit them back.
You have. Sometimes you got to, like, set the precedent of, like, you're kind of picking on me and I know you're doing it. And I'm going to bring that out into the open by making some plays that you cause you to be like, what the heck? And then I get to say, well, you've been bullying me all night. Yeah.
Mess around and find out.
Yeah, exactly. And that can actually bring you to an equilibrium. Whereas if you just let them continue to do it, like, what's your alternative? So I think, like, even spite plays kind of have their place. And again, it's a when you see it kind of stuff. It's hard to which is like what's tough about sort of talking about all of these things. But in general, like, I'm mostly fine. And I've been checked too, where people are like, and if you're fair about it, you think back, okay, yeah, I've kind of countered your stuff, or I didn't, let you whatever, or I killed your commander, right away because I'm scared of your deck, and that's probably because I lost to it last time. And maybe it's like, yeah, I still feel justified in it, but I get that you know what I'm doing, and that's all fair.
Yeah, I think any seasoned player group too that has like played D&D together, spite is a very actually often recurring thing in a story. Like, your character is about to go through this. You know what? Screw that. Because of this, I'm going to do this instead, or I'm going to act in this way. And it's out of the character. And I think we also all bring characters to the table when we play. It's either our deck or the way that we play it. So I think don't be afraid of spite plays, to Josh's point, and just understand when it crosses the line.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
I think spite is in human nature too, so it is a little bit the law of nature. They have done a lot of studies where it would not be to the benefit of a person to act in a spiteful way, and they still will, to injure a person that they see has acted unfairly towards them. And there's been a lot of like psychological studies about it, and so that's in some ways hardwired into like human nature. So I think allowing for some of that of like, it should be calculated in, right? Because this is how we are wired to behave, and acting like this is not how people should behave is not correct. That is not. That is not how it works. Yeah.
There are 21 cards in Magic that use spite or spiteful, so they also agree that
Spite's part of the game.
Spite is a part of the game. Yeah.
I think a good commander game is a good story.
Yeah.
And I think that spite plays or emotional plays are part of that story. And if they're like, you came for me and I came for you, and now look how I flipped the tables on you. Like, that's part of making a fun commander game.
Yeah.
But like you said, there is a line for so many people where, like, if it starts impacting who shows up to game night.
Yeah.
If it starts impacting, like, whether people feel safe around specific people, or
hostile,
the way that they speak at a table where you're like, I do not feel like we are playing the same kind of game here. That kind of stuff obviously crosses a line, and it's going to come from that kind of communication. I think should happen out of game, where you're like, look, the way that you talked to me in the game did not make me feel good. I did not have a fun time. We were not just kidding.
Right.
And like, I've had friends, very good friends that I played Commander with, and we played differently enough that I was like, we're not compatible pod mates.
Right.
Because
we're aiming at different targets.
We're like, you get very upset when this happens, and that's just parts of the kind of games I play, where it's like, I play in a casual meta and do not react well to like bad plays. And so it was just like we're not compatible in a pod, and we're much better friends now that we don't play Commander with each other regularly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Not playing Magic together does not mean you cannot be friends with the person. Right?
Yeah. Oh, we're good. Like, and we love to give each other crap outside of a game and like fight and like it's all in good fun. But at a Commander table, it escalated stuff too much, where it was just like, you know what? Neither of us are having a good time.
Right.
This is too much. So I think just making sure that the relationship is healthy outside of the game, like as soon as what happens in the game starts to leak out of the game,
right? Yeah,
that's when stuff really becomes a problem.
Yeah, it's the moment when the spite plays in the game are tied to how you feel about someone in real life, as opposed to intrinsically tied to game action or extrinsically tied to like the gameplay group and the dynamic in the group. Yeah, and it's very easy to blend those lines. Like, I think a big thing that we always forget is we go to play Magic as an escape, and we go to do it as a way to relieve stress, anxiety, whatever it is, clear some burden from our plate.
No, Jimmy, I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to be the next Reid Duke. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this is back when we first started the podcast.
I'm the Reid Duke of Commander.
Yeah. I'm the Reid Duke of Commander.
Too bad. Fundamental misunderstanding.
Oh, man, I got to go to the gym more. If I'm
there is a Reid Duke of Commander. His name is Reid Duke.
He's also really good at Commander.
Yeah, so don't forget all those factors, because that is when spite turns into a, hey, like maybe we should think about yourself as a human as opposed to the one that's just in the game, and now you're lashing out because, you know, things are a little bit out of control.
Yeah, I would say too, like, spite plays should be pretty rare. And if it's happening a lot, then there's probably a problem, and you're probably like not using them correctly. When I say they are a thing that can be used for good, I think that is true. But if there's a lot of spite plays happening, there's probably some other like underlying issues.
Yeah, the tension is coming from somewhere else, not the game, right?
Yeah, because it definitely is fair and to not be conflict averse and to like, you know, take things on and be like, you know, this is annoying to me in game, and I'm gonna make a statement here. But like if you're doing that all the time, then so there's something else going on that's causing that to have to come up a lot.
Totally.
And it might be with you, it might be with other people, but yeah. Okay.
All right.
The spite is coming from outside the house. That's very funny. All right, sum it all up. I think we covered a lot of stuff here. I think the thing that resonates to me most is there's a big difference between kingmaking and game making. And it seems to be, from your Twitter poll, that a lot of people, 67% plus, care about game making more than anything else. And I think that's a common theme we've seen slowly across Commander for a long time, because also 4-player games, you should not expect to win every game. So having that extra sort of expectation on top helps you understand, okay, in these scenarios when I am kingmaking, maybe it's not as impactful or spiteful as it may be in, like, I don't know, your weekly Settlers of Catan game. Because that person, you did everything. I'm just going to kill you. You know, it's fine. You may not win this game, and I may give you the game to someone else, but at least we all had a good time. Is the ideal, I think, for a lot of kingmaking that doesn't get into the, I'm so worried that what I do here is going to affect my future performance and my future invitation to other game nights games or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good rule for this kind of stuff is if it's sweet, do it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have an awesome way to make cards interact and be like, I'm going to kill you in a way nobody's ever won before, even if it's too early, or if it's like you're worried about, like, if it makes the game better, if it feels like more full or more interesting, or people will laugh, all of those make Commander better.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether you win or not, if it's a moment that people will be like, I was playing this game and this guy did this thing and it was crazy, because like that's how you win Commander, is you have stories told about it later.
True. Yeah.
I think we've talked a lot on this episode about kingmaking from the perspective of the kingmaker,
right?
But a lot of the problems come from the other side of the fence, which is the people who did not get the crown put on their head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a feel bad there often when, like, I would have won, but this other player did a thing that doesn't make logical sense to me and feels like they decided the outcome not in my favor. And in some ways, that doesn't feel legitimate, right? That's really where a lot of the griping comes from about kingmaking.
Yeah, it's not the kingmaker, it's the ones that lost as a result of the kingmaking.
Yeah, and I would say that, like, for one, and we've said this on the show for years, give people a break, right? Like, most people are just trying to do the best they can, and they are trying. And we don't always hit the targets we're aiming at. you're trying to game make, you're trying to make a cool moment. It doesn't always land in the way you thought it would.
Yeah.
You don't always realize, everybody else's perspective. You don't calculate everything correctly. But I also think too, like when I said earlier, all reasons are valid. Whatever reasons they had to make their kingmaking thing is probably valid to them.
Yeah.
And so just understanding that, like, oh, maybe I've won 2 or 3 games and they didn't feel like letting me win, or maybe whatever it is, it made sense in their head, and it probably wasn't like, super malicious against you as a person. It might be against you as a commander player, because we hear from people all the time still that are like, my playgroup doesn't let me win anymore. And it's almost always when you talk to them and break it down because you won a lot for a long time.
Or in a way that made people not want you to win anymore.
Yeah, so that bitter taste in your mouth, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's your fault.
It was the consequences of your own actions.
Yeah, and it's not BS. It is real, and they are responding to stimulus, and the stimulus was, if we give this person an inch, they will win every time, and they don't seem to understand that they need to let us play the game and have fun. So we're not going to let them play the game and have fun. And so you're going to have to pay your penance for a while and prove to them that they can allow you to play as a normal player. And that's going to take as much time invested as it took you to get to that point. So yeah, I would just say, like, from both sides, try and give everybody a break and not like immediately think like, they're a jerk or whatever.
Or they're so bad, how could they play like this illogically, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, why would they destroy that thing and not that thing? And blah, it made sense to them. They're probably doing the best they can. And like, whatever, shuffle up and play again. For most stuff, you don't have to like, you shouldn't be turning the DEFCON dial up at all, right?
Yeah, not for the most part.
Yeah, it's I think if you're getting really hurt by not being the king made, try and reinvest in what you want out of this game. Because if all you want is to win, there are easier formats to do that. Commander, it is 25% of the time if you're lucky.
All right, to the listeners, have you found yourself in a king-making situation? What was it? Were they easy decisions to come out of? Spite plays?
Ooh.
Or were some wild endgame setups that made everybody lose their mind? Would love to hear from you in the comments on Twitter. You can email us. If you're on our Patreon, you can Discord us. We'll hear from you any way, shape, or form that you want to do it.
Yeah, and maybe you're going to need a card to create that situation where the kingmaking is even possible. You got to pick one up at cardkingdom.com/command. There's so many options. We've got instance, and we've got instance for you at cardkingdom.com/command, and every other card in the format that you can imagine. Shopping from them is great because you can just copy paste in the deck list. It'll show you all the different versions, depending on which quality version you want to buy. You can get a budget build going together, as well as the blingiest thing you could imagine, but it's all from one place, cardkingdom.com/command. Great customer service. They'll send the stuff direct to you in one package, and it's easy to go. It's convenient, as well as just, great service and great selection from a huge, huge supply of cards.
Yeah, and of course, once you get those cards, you want to keep them protected. Go to ultrapro.com/command. That's the place that we trust our own collections to here at the Command Zone. They have amazing sleeves. They've got really sturdy deck boxes. They have awesome playmats. They have the license agreements with Wizards of the Coast, so you can theme everything out. You can make your battlefield look awesome, but also protect all of your game pieces. Both things very important. ultrapro.com/command. They also have all kinds of discounts and deals. I would recommend signing up for their newsletter because they will send you out like warnings, and I don't like a lot of junk in my emails.
Me too. This is the only one I click on. ULTRAPRO's like 50% off. I'm like, on what?
Yeah. This is one of the ones you want because it actually is to your benefit. So yeah, highly recommend ultrapro.com/command.
Yeah, big thank you to our amazing team who made this episode possible. Thank you to Craig Blanchett, Damon Lentz, Arthur Meadowcroft, Lady Danger, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Jake Boss, Jordan Pridgeon, Sam Waldo, Gaurav Galati, Jamie Block, Mitch Trafford, Evan Limburger, Gabriel Pozos, Megan Yip, and Eric Lem. Thanks,
you remember
guys.
when we used to be able to do it in one breath?
I can't. I had to breathe twice in there.
I think
2 times.
Circa like 2019, we
and
could do it
3
in
of
one
us
breath.
are here.
Yeah. All right. Big thanks to our team. Thanks to everybody out there for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter @JFWong and @JoshLeeQuai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.